Good morning, welcome back to Garden Obsessed. My name is Carla. I am in the process of dividing some dahlia tubers and I thought I'd go through the process and show you one. And maybe one that's not so easy to divide because I end up with a lot of convoluted tubers and it often doesn't look like the photos that you see in a lot of tutorials. So we will do that today, but first I will go through some of the items that I use when I'm dividing my tubers. So this is one of the boxes that I was working on. There's an extra lid on top here. So you can see what I'm doing. I'm separating them. Some of them I'm separating into individuals. Some of them are staying in small clumps. When I get this layer filled out, I'll pour more vermiculite on and I just keep doing that. This is just extra vermiculite at the in the bottom bin right now. I did buy another bag. This was the last one that they had when I went looking for it. If I can find more, I will get more because I think I'm gonna need it. These are some of the other things that I'm gonna be using. So I've got cinnamon for every cut that I make. I'm gonna sprinkle some cinnamon on it. And a couple Sharpies. I have a sticky note because as soon as I cut them, I write what is in the container, so just so that I know and I can get an idea for how much of things that I have when I'm all done. I've got, excuse me guys. I've got a few different cutters. I've got some shears, some floral snips, some scissors. Ideally you would have like a knife or something too, but I don't have one with me and I haven't needed one so far. And a lot of people use a bleach solution. I tend to not have bleach in the house for sterilizing their instruments and things. So this is 60% or 65% ethyl alcohol. It was, you know, I had it around from COVID days and I just put it in a spray bottle and I spray everything down in between clumps of tubers. So I figured that's better than nothing, and if it can kill COVID, I'm sure it can handle leafy gall bacteria. Alright guys, I've got my setup here. I have a bin for all of my cuttings and castaways. I've got my bin here to put my tubers in. I've got my coffee. And y'all, I don't have a fancy coffee maker. That's like McCafe made in a Keurig. I do have a fancy mug though, because my neighbor made it for me. And I got an ugly tuber here because a lot of the videos I see, it's a tuber that's, or a clump that's easier to tackle than something like this. And I want to show you how I go about dealing with something that looks like this. So, just for giggles, this is called Short Track. I got it from Bessie's. It's obviously an imported tuber. I have no idea what it actually is. I can't find any reference to any other dahlia called Short Track, but Jarrett liked it. It wasn't my favorite, but it was one of his favorites, so I guess we'll keep it. All right, sorry for the weird angle, but this is the only way I can make it work. So the first thing I'm going to do is cut off anything that's loose or any of these roots, and you'd be surprised how often even just doing that makes it a little more manageable to tackle. So let's get to doing that. There's one I just broke, so I'm just gonna go ahead and cut that off. Okay, the other thing I'm doing here is trying to gently remove some of the dirt that didn't come out when I washed them. Especially, I mean, something like this is not such a big deal, but a lot of times it can be blocking some things that I might want to be able to see. So I'm just, you know, doing it gently, not hurting anything. I don't want to break anything. There we go. Okay, the other thing I'm going to remove is, see how this is a tuber. I mean, it's also broken, but this is a tuber that is attached only to this tuber. So this will never support an eye. Only from the crown do eyes happen, which is up here. It's between the neck of the tuber and the stem. That's the crown. So this guy, I'm just gonna clip off. Okay, can you see how much better it's starting to look already? Now when you have multiple stems like this, I'm gonna start looking for a spot to cut. It's often, maybe not on such a large clump like this that's tightly packed, but a lot of times if you start wiggling, you can see here, there's a piece of crown with this little tuber and this little tuber, and it's also connected to this one at the bottom. These little bumps here is where the eyes are going to be. That's a little eye right there, if you can see it, the tip of my finger. This is getting borderline small. I will try to save it. But because these are so intertwined with all the other tubers, if I start trying to pull this, I'm gonna break like all the tubers attached. So I'm gonna look for a different spot, and I thought I saw one earlier. We might start right here. So this tuber is attached right here. This tuber is attached right here. This tuber is attached right here. And I think this one is as well, but we might actually use it when we're trying to cut. You can still see where some of the eyes are. I don't know if you can see that one right at my fingertip. There's one for sure right there. There's a couple right here. So I'm gonna do my best to avoid those. I'm gonna start here because these are gonna be my best shot, and this one might have to go. And I never know which tool to start with, but I'm gonna cut this stem off first because it's kind of in my way here. And I find these a little not great for this finicky stuff, so I'm gonna see if these are strong enough to cut where I need to cut. I'm getting a little stuck. They're not quite strong enough. These ones are a little stronger. We'll try these. So I can hear it cracking, and I don't want it. A lot of times that's how you lose a tuber, when it cracks instead of cuts. So I'm gonna try to save that back one, but I don't know if I can get in there. We'll see. I think I lost them, but we've got these other three for sure. Okay. So I did lose this guy. This is something like, I can't see an eye, so I don't think I will keep it, but if you do this, I know a lot of people keep them and throw them in a discard pile and are often surprised by how many they do get. And if it was something that wasn't a great tuber producer, I'd probably try to save that as well. But it doesn't appear to me like it has enough of the crown. I don't see an eye, so I am going to turf that one. These three are okay. Now, I'm going to do my best. I want the margins to all be clear and more this color. Some of this is soil, but some of it is like where it was attached to the crown. It tends to rot there. So I'm going to see if I can clean that up some without hurting any eyes. I was going to try to keep these three as a clump, but I may actually divide because it'll be easier to clean this area up. So there's an eye here, there's an eye there, and there's several down here. So I'm going to cut in between these two eyes. With perhaps these clippers. Okay. Set these two aside for a minute. Clean up some of this dirt. Okay, so here we have our tuber. The cut end I am going to dip in some cinnamon. So I brought a little bowl out. I thought I might not waste quite as much cinnamon this way. And ideally you would wait until this dried and kind of scabbed over before you are putting it in your container here, but in the interest of showing you how I do this, I'm going to take the risk. I have a whole nother clump of these already saved somewhere else. And for now, I'm just going to set this on top of the container and I'll show you how I pack them. Now these two, I think might need to stay together. However, where one of these eyes is where a lot of this rot is. So I think I'm gonna have to lose two of these eyes and just have the one, but I'll leave both tubers attached. So there, we have a little duo. And you'll see me dabbing the ends too, just where I cut off the roots, and if anything looks suspicious, you can actually cut into the tuber to make sure there's no rot going up your tuber, but I haven't felt the need to do that yet. Okay, now here's where we cut, and I was hoping it'd be a lot easier to see maybe what was going on. But I do think I'm going to go and remove this small guy right here. He does have an eye, so I'll do that as carefully as I can. Okay, he was perfect scenario. He popped right off, so he's actually got two eyes, one right here and one right there, and he could make it. He might not, but he could, so we'll get him dipped in cinnamon. There, he's all dipped, and we'll set him aside. I don't see an eye on this one, but he's in my way, so I'm gonna try to take a chunk of the crown with him and hope that there's an eye on there. But if not, we have lots of other tubers to work with. So a lot of times it's all about getting the right angle too, getting in there. So I think the crown is right here. I'm gonna do my best to leave quite a bit. These aren't strong enough. And hopefully we got an eye. He may be a dud if there's no eye, but he's worth trying, so we'll get him dipped. Now, I can see here a lot better now. So, this guy is still attached, and he's between these two tubers. I can't get him out right now, but I may try to detach him so that in my efforts to get these off, I don't destroy this guy. So, I might actually try these scissors. There. I think he's free, but we'll get to him later. Now I'm gonna try to wiggle these guys apart here. It's kind of making it hard to see what's going on exactly. I'll see if I can get rid of this. Some of it anyway. There we go. Okay, I think there is a tuber going over here, and I don't know which one it is. But he may just have to go because I need to get these apart, so. And sometimes you just have to go for it and cut, so it seems to be stuck right here. I'm gonna cut right here. Try to pry this guy off. I don't want to hurt this tuber is the thing. Okay, I think we have another one attached. I'm just gonna go for it. Okay. There. So we'll deal with this smaller one first. This guy might have to go. I'm gonna leave these two together because I only see an eye right there. These guys. Actually, that's pretty tough. Okay. Okay, here's what we've ended up with. There are 3 duos and 9 single tubers. And if half of those grow, we'll be laughing. So, I ended up with potentially 12 different plants next year. And if there are eyes that I just can't see, some of these might be able to be divided further in the spring when they start sprouting. So the next thing that I want to make sure I do is I'm going to label every single tuber, or like in the case of a duo, at least one. So I'm gonna go ahead and get that done, and then I'll meet you back here to pack them. Okay, so literally I'm just gonna start nestling them in here. I don't want them touching, but I'm trying to save space, so I'll put them as close as I can without touching. It's kind of like a jigsaw puzzle. Now, when that layer is full, I'm gonna get my vermiculite, and this is, I reused my vermiculite, so this is all from last year. I'm gonna cover them up. See if that's enough. And then we'll get these last ones in here. This top layer I'm not going to be quite as precise because I don't want to start another kind and put it in here, so. Cover that up. Stick the lid on. Let me give that a wipe actually because it's got some condensation. And before I do anything else, I'm gonna write what's in here. So short track. And there were 3 duos and 9 singles. And I'll add that to the sticky that's already on the side. So I hope you found that useful. I'm gonna go add these to the several others that I have already set away in the basement for winter. I'm not an expert, but I do know how intimidating it is when you're first starting, and then once you start cutting, you gain some confidence. It's actually not that bad. And like I said, I had great success with vermiculite, and the reason I chose to do that last year was because all of the experts in the area, that's how they store theirs. So if you have a Dahlia Society near you, I haven't actually joined it yet, but I did join their Facebook group page, and there's so many people that have so much experience and are so willing to help us newbies. So definitely join a Dahlia Society page. And the other thing that really helped me is Connie Thompson has a book, and she is a member of the Canadian Dahlia Society. She's on their Facebook page. She also happens to be on our Nova Scotia one, even though she lives in BC. I think she's on them all. And she is very generous with her time and expertise, and comments on a lot of questions and things that people ask in those groups. So definitely join your Dahlia Society page, pick up her book. She has step-by-step photos, and it was a great help to me last year. So I hope that was useful, and there are many ways to do it. So if this isn't the way you do it and it works for you, that's awesome. If you've tried this way and it doesn't work for you, there's lots of other things to try. But for me, where I am, this is how I do it. So I hope you have a lovely day, and we will see you next time. Thank you for watching. Bye.